what time it is, Bama Nation. Time to wake you up. Let's go. Monday morning, 9 a.m. Get that coffee, that pancake, that breakfast pastry, that sausage, egg, biscuit, whatever you got. We're hitting you right now. Bama Vision, Monday morning, 9 a.m. Hottest morning show on the ticket right here on the best network for Bama football, Bama athletics, the Bama Standard Network. I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith, right here. But the guy, the true visionary, is the man that's controlling the ones and twos, the real pilot, Herb, the better Ragsdale. Herbo, how you feeling flying the plane today?
Man, you know, the plane is starting off a little shaky. He's still trying to wake up a little bit. Got my Bama coffee already ready, but coffee and Stephen M, that'll wake you up in the morning for sure.
Absolutely. Happy to have Herb here with us here, flying the plane here, production behind the scenes here on Bama Vision. We got a great show, guys. I mean, phenomenal show this morning. We're looking at right now why Alabama football is set up 2025 season for big success. And it has something to do with that transfer portal. And Alabama had no scholarship player hit the spring portal. What is Kalen DeBoer saying? How is he getting these guys to buy in? We'll talk about that. Number two, we'll get into the defensive stars that are going to be the most impactful for the Crimson Tide in the upcoming fall. I have three that I will list here today. And then we just came off the NFL draft that happened last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of last week. We'll get into a bit of an NFL draft recap, talk about Jalen Milroe, talk about other players that heard their names called in the venue over the weekend. So don't touch that dial. Stay right here on Bama Visions via YouTube for the Bama Standard Network. But got to get to some bills right here. And you see that thing behind me, that title towel, part of every Alabama fan's winning mentality. You're going to be waving this thing, throw it up, twirling this thing inside Bryant-Denny Stadium, Saban Field in the coming fall, supporting Kalen DeBoer and your Crimson Tide. You can do this by going to whitwillsports.com. That's whitwillsports.com. Purchase you a title towel. Get that today. Thomas Whitaker, Lavelle Wilson, two outstanding community guys that are behind this product. I'm behind this product. It's huge for every Bama fan. You can have them in your car. You can have them in your home. You can have them everywhere. This is needed for you as an Alabama football fan. Go to whitwillsports.com. You give them the promo code STANDARD. You get a nice little discount there on that purchase. And better than me, Herb knows if you ain't behind this product, you got a serious problem. Herb, tell him.
You caught me mid-grab because you see him in the back already, right? So I got a couple for home. Always got a couple for the road. If you see me at a game, I'm usually got an extra one that I'm trying to give out to a fan. Man, you know I love this product. You know, talked with Thomas plenty of times too. It's good when you like the product, but you also like the people too. As you already said, man, great folks. Got to support them. Got to support it with the title towel.
Absolutely. Get yourself that towel, people. Get yourself that towel. Because in the fall, you got to be 100,000 strong waving that towel inside Bryant-Denny, because this football season is going to be something to behold here. And let's get into why it's going to be something to behold here, Herb, because Alabama this spring had zero. Bama this spring had zero scholarship players to hit the NCAA transfer portal. And this is wild. This is crazy. And it's wild and crazy because if you look at the entire SEC, you know, as a whole, Kirby Smart, who's been a part of the SEC his whole career, Kirby Smart in Georgia, they lost guys to the portal. You look at Hugh Freeze in Auburn, they lost guys to the portal. And Hugh Freeze has been a part of the SEC for quite some time now. You even had Josh Heupel of Tennessee. His quarterback, Nico Iamaleava, we heard the bombshell of a story that's continued to be discussed, lost him to the transfer portal. When you talk about the baby of the SEC, when you look at head coaches, Kalen DeBoer, His second year at Alabama, coming up this fall, the Tide lost nobody scholarship-wise to that spring portal. Yes, it lost a walk-on here and there, but when you talk about the guys that you expect to be marquee starters or marquee contributors to your team, your program for the coming season, Alabama lost nobody of that significance. And it has us all thinking, what did DeBoer say? What did DeBoer do? What has this coaching staff done to get everybody bought into, look, Bama's going to pop in 2025. Bama's going to be special this season. You might not want to hop in that portal because Bama's got something brewing that you want to be a part of. And starting this thing off with Coach Kalen DeBoer, you look at, you kept all three quarterbacks, right? Simpson stayed around. Key Russ staying around. Austin Mack staying around. Nobody jumped ship in that spring portal from the quarterback room. Nobody. Everybody stayed put here. Look at the running back room. All six of your backs. Jalen Milroe, Richard Young, Dre Washington, who you got from the portal from the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, A.K. Deere, Kevin Riley, Daniel Hill. Nobody left the running back room. That's a big deal right there. At wide receiver, you literally have 10 receivers here in this rotation. That's crazy. Nobody left the room. You look at the offensive line. You got a plethora of offensive linemen. Nobody left the room scholarship-wise. At tight end, you went into the portal and got a 2-for-1 deal at tight end, getting Jack Samarco from West Virginia and Brody Dalton from Troy University. But nobody left the tight end room going elsewhere. This is crazy, y'all. Kalen DeBoer offensively did a phenomenal job navigating this portal, keeping every marquee offensive player on the roster. Defensively, when you look at Kane Womack, roster retention on his end. Look at what Womack did. Keeping a Tim Keenan, keeping an LT Overton, keeping a Deontay Lawson, keeping a Justin Jefferson, keeping a Keon Sabb, keeping a Damani Jackson, and keeping all these guys, right? Keeping a Jamarian Latham, keeping all of these guys, and then surrounding them with other talent as well. Nobody jumped ship. Nobody hit the spring portal. You kept everybody. And I think Ryan Herb, played a major role in this offensively. Here's why. When you are able to get the offensive mind you wanted from the jump into your program, and the quarterback room sees, here's a Ryan Grubb that produced a 3,000-plus yard quarterback in Jake Haener at Fresno State. Here is a Ryan Grubb that produced a two-time 4,000-plus yard passer who also became a top 10 NFL draft pick to the Atlanta Falcons in one Michael Penix Jr. The quarterback room is thinking, I want to be a part of that. Whatever Grubb is doing, I don't want to hit the portal. I want to be a part of what Grubb is doing because Grubb has produced success. Grubb has mentored and molded 3,000-plus yard quarterbacks, and I want to be the next one. You look at this wide receiver room, it's thinking, my goodness, look at what this brother's offense did for Jalen Polk and Rome Odunze and Jalen McMillan for the Washington Huskies, putting those guys into the National Football League. Look at what Grubb's offense did for receivers at Fresno State, for receivers at Sioux Falls, and helping them become successful. I certainly don't want to put my name in that darn portal when I've seen what Grubb has done for these receivers. You look at the Alabama running backs. They look at, man, look at what Grubb has done for running backs when you discuss Dylan Johnson at Washington being a 1,000-plus yard guy. Look at what Grubb has done for running backs when you discuss the guys at Fresno State that had 2 or 3 700-plus yard running backs pop out there, and also what he did there at Sioux Falls. We don't want to leave the program either, so bringing Ryan Grubb, knowing what he wants to do, knowing what he wants to produce here within this offense, you've got the offensive guys excited. But then for Kane Womack, defensively, another year in the 4-2-5 defense, another year in the swarm D attacking the football. The guys saw when you trust what Womack's trying to do with that vision coverage, putting your eyes on things. We saw from the Tennessee game and the South Carolina game, Herb, turnovers being created, sacks being done, big plays being made. That Bama defense got better and better and better throughout the remainder of the 2024 campaign. And that Kane Womack 4-2-5 defense. And that defense needs to swarm. And that defense needs to show people what's up, what's really up right now. So to have so many of those guys stick around, nobody hit the spring portal, it's a big deal. You look at, like I said, Kirby Smart is big time in this conference. He had guys leave him. Hugh Freeze is big time in this conference, and he had guys leave him. Josh Heupel had his quarterback, his starting quarterback, leave him to go to the West Coast and UCLA. Here is Kalen DeBoer coming off 9-4 season. Kalen DeBoer that got smacked up a little bit by grown man football and needed that to teach him some things. Kalen DeBoer, who is the baby of the conference, nobody of massive significance in terms of scholarship players left because of that portal. If you're an Alabama fan, this is something to get very excited about, because now you're thinking, what does he do year two with this team, with this program, knowing that he's got a full recruiting class in, knowing that the guys have bought in to what he wants to do in terms of the program. I mean, Herb, when you saw this, when you looked at this, and I know I recently put out a video on the Bama Standard Network explaining this, but just going into bigger and deeper detail now. But Herb, upon you seeing this yourself and looking at how nobody of scholarship significance for Alabama hit that portal, what in the spring, what was your first reaction, Herb?
I mean, we had been on shows before, and I was predicting certain players. I thought you would at least lose some on the fringes, and I know the spring portal's always tricky. You can't go SEC to SEC. So if you do transfer, you gotta travel, kind of like, everybody's boy Nico did. But other than that, I was like, we got to lose a wide receiver or two, I figured, right? Chance at a running back, a chance at a quarterback. There were certain positions, especially offensively, that you were like, we have a lot of depth there. I would not be surprised. And then defensively, man, you just hit it. I think they've all bought in, and they see that there can be great things. And I think the coaches have got them bought into it's going to be great things. But if you can produce, you're going to get on the field, And I think you saw that at A-Day, and you see it more at the practices you've gotten to watch up to it. Guys are bought in, and they are out there. They're like, look, I got a chance to get on the field. I'm busting my butt every single day, to make that happen. So I think that's what you're seeing.
I think also, Herb, to add with that, the mentality of wanting to get back to winning the national championship, right?
Yep.
It's weird to think about the last time you saw the Crimson Tide on the podium hoisting a trophy as champions of college football. This was to start 2000, and this was the 2020 season. This was to open 2021, but this was to end the 2020 season. This was when you had the COVID pandemic really hit to where you saw businesses shut down. You saw the mask mandate. You saw the keep your distance 6 feet. We weren't able to fellowship and commune with each other the way we would like to, though some disrespected the rules anyway, and still communed despite the whole mandate and whatnot. But that was the time that we were in, and the world was massively crazy at that point. But that was the last time you saw Alabama hoisting a trophy as champions of college football. So this is about, 5 years ago? We're not used to that. We're not used to that at all. And And I go back to the one player on this current roster that knows what winning a championship feels like is Jamarian Latham, who switched positions because he was on that 2020 team. That was his freshman year. So this team does not know what a championship tastes like. It does not know what a championship feels like. It has no idea what that means. And here's a chance for Alabama to prove itself again that it is a lion in this conference and it's ready to go back on the prowl and back on the attack again after some years of not getting it done. After 2021, it got there with Bryce Young and it lost to Georgia. 2022, it's in the, New Year's Six Bowl against Kansas State. Good bowl game, but you didn't win a championship. 2023, you lose in the semifinal to Michigan. 2024, we all saw the disappointment of last year. Year one of Coach DeBoer, despite all the hoops that he had to jump through upon getting the job. So now, here we are in this mode of you start the upcoming fall. So many other teams are going to be mentioned prior to Alabama. They're going to talk Georgia. They're going to talk Ohio State. They're going to talk Clemson. They're going to talk Texas. They're going to talk so many other teams. Here's a shot for Alabama. We are still that program. Like, we're still here. And we're putting in the work to get that done and to make sure that that we're still here. But the fact that even in all of that, Herb, DeBoer has a way in a relationship with these young men to say, don't hit the portal. Trust me. Yeah. Don't hit the portal. I'm going to get this done. We're going to get this done. Don't hit the portal. We got something special, and we want every last one of you to be a part of that. You can't say enough about the belief that this program has in this guy as its head coach, but you also can't speak enough to the vision DeBoer has and how crazy it will be. This thing pops and Bama's back on the podium as a national champion this season.
Yeah. And I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic, saying where they can get to, but I think this is the beginning of, putting his stamp on this program. Right. Last year was clearly a transition, whether we wanted to accept that or not. But now you can kind of see what kind of guy he is, what kind of staff he's assembled. And the fact that the players are buying in this quick, it's not that easy to come off of the greatest coach of all time hangover to the next guy. And you can see how quickly they've bought it. It was unprecedented how many players stayed on defense. And then, like you said, navigating the spring portal, that you don't see that often. So, no, kudos to him. Kudos to the coaching staff.
Right. And I understand a lot of fans are going to look at the fundamentals of it all. You still have to do the fundamentals. You still have to do the right things. You still have to prove it out there in terms of being on the field. And yes, you do have to prove it out there because nobody's going to hand it to you. But what I'm saying is this is the start of it, right? The start of it all, having the players believe in what you are selling them. Because relationships begin college football. Recruiting is the lifeblood, but those relationships begin it. And if players don't believe in your vision, if players don't believe in what you are selling them, then they're going to jump ship anyway. Right. The fact that nobody jumped ship, they believe DeBoer is just not, blowing smoke here. Kane Womack's not blowing smoke. Jamarcus Shepard's not blowing smoke. These coaches aren't blowing smoke. There's something real about this. There's something real. There's something genuine about this, and I want to be a part of this. And yes, the players have their job too. They got to execute on the field. They got to make the right plays in the field. They got to be intentional in the weight room. They got to be intentional in the practice field. They got to be intentional in every aspect of this. But the fact that you have a spring portal, that we're in an era where if the player is not being catered to, I'm quickly moving elsewhere. And nobody made that decision of scholarship note to move elsewhere. I'm speaking to that is huge on behalf of DeBoer because you look at it, Kirby Smart's got 2 national championship rings as a head coach at Georgia. Players left him. Hugh Freeze has been successful in the SEC. Players left him. Josh Heupel got Tennessee to the college football playoff this past season with Nico Iamaleava. King Nico just said, chunk the deuces up. I'm going to the West Coast, right? And here is Kalen DeBoer, who had 4 losses a season ago. 4! 2 of those to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. And you still had guys to go, I believe in DeBoer. I'm not leaving. I'm not jumping ship. I see the vision. I'm rocking with what he's selling. And nobody of scholarship means left. That just speaks a lot of volumes. Yes, there were mistakes last year. I get it. I understand it. But I, for one, say this. You need mistakes to grow you. You need mistakes to grow you. And DeBoer had mistakes last year, but it grew him, right? Ever since this offseason started, he's made every possible move to better himself, to improve himself, and to assure everybody that you're not going to have the same outcome 2 years in a row. This upcoming fall is going to be much, much different here for this program when you look at Alabama football. And I'm excited about this, how he navigated the spring portal, how he kept everybody that's of scholarship means in-house, offensively, defensively. I mean, you only lost 2 big guys, and that was to the NFL draft, that being Jihad Campbell and Malachi Moore. Everybody else of big name and notoriety you kept right there on your roster. So I'm excited. I am 100% here excited. But Herb, we're going to get to, before we get to our second topic here, we're going to get to some early morning comments. Save your questions, guys, to the end, but we'll get to those. We're going to get to some early morning comments here in the chat line, Herb. So let's pull those up. Also, guys, hit that like and subscribe button. Be a part of the morning show. Getting your morning started right here at Bama Vision with yours truly, Stephen M. Smith here, Herb the Better Ragsdale. We got my girl Latoya Billingsley in here. Roll Tide, my country cousin. Absolutely, Latoya. Happy to have you a part of the show. She also showing some love to Herb, giving Herb a Roll Tide there. Appreciate that, Latoya. King Family Reacts in here. Good morning and Roll Tide Roll. Appreciate you, King Family. The ever real Don Parker. Morning and Roll Tide. Everyone appreciate you, Don. And they're my guys with Will Sports. Title towel, get us that Roll Tide. Throw that thing up, that title towel. Part of every Bama fan's mentality. Jay Walker, Roll Tide, morning. Stephen Herb on the 1s and 2s. We can't do this without Herb, man. Herb is the pilot flying the plane. We got Raj, the other Ragsdale, who celebrated a birthday not too long ago. Raj, good morning, everyone. And Roll Tide, appreciate you, Raj. And Raj, I hope you enjoyed that clip of me getting my broadcasting gender reveals on. So anybody needing a gender reveal broadcast, give me a phone call. I got you. Michael right here. I'm waiting for mine to come. I guess he's referring to his title towel. So go to whitwillsports.com, Michael. Get you that title towel right there. Whitwill Sports, there are 100K title towels up. Have those towels, waving them inside the stadium, folks. Coach DeBoer needs you. The players need you. Share that support right there. See, Bama is in here with the Roll Tide and an elephant emoji. Appreciate see Bama getting that morning off right here with this show. Michael, not having players into the portal, I think that's a sign that the players are fully vested in the program. It does. It shows that they know what DeBoer's selling. They're all in. They're bought in. They want to make something special happen this upcoming season, Michael. I wholeheartedly agree with you on that one. Bob Rutherford giving us an RTR and a heart right there. Appreciate you, Bob. Hey, helping out the show there. The Long Run with Piano Man in here. Giving us a Roll Tide. Appreciate you, Piano Man. Stopping by here on a Monday. Let's continue these comments right here. Long Run Piano Man. Bama has more depth than UW did couple of years ago. Going to be interesting this year. Bama does have more depth than Washington did a couple of years ago. So this is the reason why you have an excited DeBoer. You have an excited Ryan Grubb. You have a lot of exciting parts here of this team because of the depth there that Bama has. Absolutely, Piano Man, I agree with you on that comment there. We got Don Parker. Although no one transferred, we will see how it goes on game day. I'm not sold yet. Let's see some games and how they execute. Then we'll see. Otherwise, not buying the hype. Don Parker, the ever realist. He's not buying it until it happens there on the football field. A lot of fans feel the same as Don feels. Whitwell Sports, Swarm D needs to swarm. It's got to do that. It starts with Kane Womack calling it out, title, but also big year for Freddie Roach in terms of the defensive line. Got to produce them. Got to pop out those numbers here this season. Latoya writes in, feels like an 08 season brewing to me. Hey, Toya, you speaking my language, Toya. It kind of feels like a little bit of an 08 brewing. Kind of feel that way, Toya. Kind of feel that way. I don't blame you on that one. Appreciate Latoya there for that comment. We got Paul Malone. Paul in here. I give DeBoer a pass last year, replacing the greatest to ever do it. But this year, we should be contending for a natty. Paul, that's what rational Alabama fans are thinking right now. You give DeBoer a mulligan for last year. You're replacing one-of-one, Nick Saban, greatest to ever do it, and you had to go through a lot to do that. So this upcoming season, you're expecting bigger, you're expecting more, you're expecting Alabama to not just get into that playoff, but put itself in position to contend for a national championship. Wholeheartedly agree there. Continue to get your comments in, people. Get your questions in. We're taking those at the end. Hit that like button, though. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Be a part of the conversation on a Monday morning. Bama Vision hitting you 9 a.m. on the Bama Standard Network. But shouts out to DeBoer for navigating that transfer portal, keeping everybody here, in-house in terms of that spring portal. But Herb, we're going to now transition into topic 2 of the conversation, that being the players on defense, right? The most impactful players when you look at the defensive side of the football in this upcoming season. And I have 3 myself, and I know, Herb, you have your guys that you look forward to having step up here on the defensive side of the football. But for me, and Kane Womack, we know he's going to play multiple guys in the 4-2-5. That swarm defense, several guys are going to get reps. They're going to get opportunities to make their name out there, make plays out there, whether it's stuffing the run, sacking the quarterback, creating turnovers there on the back end. So there's going to be a lot of chances for different guys defensively to make an impact. But my 3, I'm going to start off right here on the defensive line. Tim Keenan III, number 1 for me. Keenan is a leader, an enforcer on that defensive line at the nose guard position. Keenan is the definition of true development from high school to college and now potentially as an NFL prospect. Keenan out of high school in Birmingham, Ramsey High School, was a high 3, low 4-star kind of guy. He was a guy that a bit overweight coming out of high school, had an injury, a knee injury coming in. People wondered how Tim Keenan developed, right? And when he gets to Alabama, he gets healthy. He has this incredible body transformation. He gets stronger in his faith to Christ. He gets stronger as a locker room guy. We go to 2023, and a couple of years ago, he really pops onto the scene, and people are like, wow, look at the work that Keenan's put in. It's finally paid off. Last year, took another major step forward. This season, I think this dude, a monster year for him, Herb. He's a first-round pick. A monster year from Tim Keenan from that nose tackle perspective, because he's got the ability to shut down the run, but with that body transformation, he's got the wiggle to slip in there and get some sacks from the quarterback. So a big year for Keenan. We're talking a first-round draft status for him. He is a guy that not only leads by example, but he's using his voice in that locker room. He's using that voice on the practice field. He's using that voice to keep everybody in line and holding guys accountable. So Tim Keenan, that's number one. Number two for me, as far as defensive impact for players, I'm going to go over the linebacker room. I'm going to pick up Quay Russaw. I'm going to pick up one of the bullies that came out of Carver High School in Montgomery. I'll say this. Some people would say Deontay Lawson in this spot, and I wouldn't be against that, but I just want to see how healthy Dean is coming back in fall camp off the leg injury he suffered last year against Oklahoma. Some people would have Justin Jefferson in the spot, and I like that as well. But the reason why I'm putting Quay Russaw here is I'm taking a line from one of my cohorts on the Bama Standard Network, the great Marvin Constant. He likes to have QB killers, quarterback killers. Who is going to be the closer on that defense and knocking a quarterback's head off in terms of creating that pressure consistently? Herein lies Quay Russaw. And Quay was on pace to doing that a season ago. He suffered injury there early in the season, and the injury affected him some. We know he came back for the game against Georgia, made some big plays there. But Quay dropped some weight in the offseason, dropped about 10 pounds. He's chiseled up more. And Herb, I got a chance to talk to a few people I know that were at the scrimmages in spring, that were at the practices in spring ball. And one of the things that they shared with me was Quay just has unreal strength in terms of Wilkin Formby's a big dude. He's 6'7", 324 pounds on the offensive line, trying to get that right tackle starting spot here in the fall. So Quay is going up against Wilkin Formby one-on-one, right? I'm hearing Quay literally picked Wilkin up off his feet and threw him down. Quay is picking up grown 300-plus pound dudes and throwing them on the ground. And having them look at Quay and go, "Duh!" I didn't think that cat was that strong. Quay Russow's a strong kid. That's a strong man right there. And we saw him in high school do things like this, but to see him and to hear him in spring practice, in scrimmages, pick up guys off their feet, off the ground, throwing them on the ground, showing that type of physical strength, power, speed, ability to create that type of an impact, create that type of pressure. Quay can be a closer this season. Quay can be a real deal closer on second down, third down for this defense, getting these guys off the field with the impact that he's going to bring in that linebacker room as a leader. So I'm excited to see what Quay does defensively. Last but not least here for me, I look at Bray Hubbard. Brayson Hubbard, the former Mr. Mississippi coming out of high school, we saw him, Herb, when Keon Sabb got hurt against Tennessee, and we watched Bray Hubbard get inserted into this defense. He brought a level of toughness and physicality and just hard hat mindset, taking something from Nate Oates here for a minute, that this team loved and that this team absolutely needed. Bray went out there, 3 interceptions a season ago when he got out there, several pass breakups, several just big hits, laying dudes out, like unlocked a serious physicality. And now with him having time on task, he's back as an expected starter in this defense at safety. Hubbard's going to have a lot to say. Bray is going to have a lot to say here in this defense. And when you watch him play, two former Alabama players hit my mind when you watch Bray Hubbard play. He's got a little bit of Vinny Sunseri and a little bit of Xavier McKinney. McKinney in terms of the underrated pass coverage ability, because X was underrated in that aspect, but he's got Vinny's hard-hitting mentality. So both of those combined, I see some of X McKinney, but I also see some of Vinny Sunseri when I look at Brace and Hubbard. But those would be my three guys there when you look at Tim Keenan III, Quay Russell, and Bray Hubbard as my three impactful defensive players for the upcoming season. Herb, you fill in those three. Do you have three that you want to kind of inject here?
Maybe not three, but two of my first off, you kind of know my favorite was Keon Sabb. Just because coming off the injury and making the impact, I feel like him and Bray will work well together on that back line. And I was just a big fan, man. The man played through an injury for his last game that I would probably be laid out on the couch if it was half that bad. So I'd love to see him come back, finish up strong. And then one of the easier ones, but we talked about it last night, LT Overton. Just because improving that draft stock, we've all said it. Look, he gets there, he just doesn't finish enough plays. That's a guy, if he takes a leap, can really, really pop and really kind of solidify. We've already seen a couple of mocks last night that had him fringe first round. I feel like one more little step here, if he finishes half the plays he had last year, you know what I mean? You can see a top 10, top 15 kind of guy. So those are my top two, I think, after the guys you mentioned.
And what's wild here, Herb, it was like LT was back there every time. Yes. One game in particular, because I remember the Wisconsin game, LT went off. But I remember one game in particular, I counted about 7 times LT Overton was back there. And I'm like, you just bring them down. Like, he was back there every time. It's like, like you mentioned, if he finished on half of those plays he had last season, he's a mid to late first round pick in this past draft. So he knows exactly what he needs to do to have this be a reality in the 2026 venue when you talk about the NFL draft. But I'm looking forward for LT to be impactful. There's so many guys on this defense that can be. And I haven't even mentioned guys like Jordan Renard, who can be seriously impactful. I haven't mentioned James Smith, who can be incredibly impactful this year. I haven't mentioned Keon Keeley, who's gotten so much more comfortable in this defense and what's being asked of him to do. He can be highly impactful. I haven't even mentioned Kelby Collins, the transfer from Florida, who could be really impactful in this defense. And then, not to mention guys like Damani Jackson, Xavier Brown. There's so many guys here in this Alabama defense that could have a monster year here for the Crimson Tide. But I just poured out Tim Keenan. The leadership there has a chance to be a first-round pick in next year's draft. I pulled out Quay Russell. The guy can be a flat-out closer. If you're picking up and throwing dudes down in spring practice and scrimmages, I don't want to mess with you in no dark alley. Forget that. And then you look at Bray Hubbard, what he did this past season, filling in for one Keon Sabb when he went down with an injury. Having a Hubbard back with his defense is concerned, that is going to be exciting to watch there. So those would just be my three impactful players. But this all starts with the 4-2-5 swarm defensive play calling by Kane Womack. And to have it be dominant, have it be successful from start to finish, right? That's the main thing. We saw early last season the Swarm D have some trouble because players were trying to get used to it. They were trying to adjust to the scheme, the strategize, and the play call, right? But once they figured out, how they fit into the grand scheme of things, whether it was the Tennessee game or the South Carolina game, once they were able to find their place, then we started to see this defense really take off, really explode, and really have some success. So now you look at this upcoming fall from start to finish. What are you looking for if you're an Alabama fan? You're looking for a Coach Kane. Have this defense play with its hair on fire, swarming to the football, all 11 to the ball from the first game of the season against Florida State to the last game of the regular season, which is Auburn. Have those guys play like their life depended on it from start to finish there. But Before we get into the final topic of conversation, we're going to get to a few more of your comments before we get into the Q&A segment. But before that, y'all see that thing behind me, that title towel? Get your hands on it. WhitwillSports.com. This is a part of every Bama fan's mindset mentality in terms of winning. You want to have this towel, waving it like crazy on Saban Field inside Bryant-Denny Stadium this fall. 100,000 towels going strong here. Throw that thing up, twirl it like you just don't care. You go to WhitwillSports.com. That's WhitwillSports.com. And on the promo code STANDARD, you get you an outstanding discount there, courtesy of your favorite Bama network, the Bama Standard. WhitwillSports.com. Get to those guys today. Get you that towel. Also, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Make this Bama Vision your show every Monday, 9 a.m. here, talking Bama football. But, folks, we're going to get into a little bit more of your comments here before the final topic of conversation. So pull those up there. Herbo, Michael mentioned, I also think that Bama has more talent than UW as well. Bama's got a little bit more talent than Washington does. We're going to see how DeBoer and company does with it this year. Appreciate you, Michael, there for that comment. Don Parker, did DeBoer try grits yet? Don, we gotta ask KD that when fall camp begins and he has his press conferences, we're gonna ask KD, did he try grits? Did he try cheese grits? Did he have that yet? So we're gonna ask KD that once fall camp rolls in. Ephraim writes in, keep us informed, Stephen, once fall camp starts. Ephraim, I will do my best there to get that done there for you guys. Appreciate that comment from you. Latoya writes back in, I see our defense scoring more this season. Remember 2016? 2016, Latoya, that was a phenomenal defense. You had guys that scored on that defense. Pick six, scoop and score. All types of things that happened there with that group. This defense can potentially do it, but we shall see. Cedric C. writes in, roll, Todd, roll. Appreciate you, Cedric, being a part of the show. Whitwill Sports title towel. Yes, sir. Hey, get you the title towel. Get that towel. If you don't have it, you are doing yourself a giant disservice as an Alabama fan. You got to get your hands on that towel and show I'm all in it when you look at Alabama football inside of Bryant-Denny Stadium. But final topic of conversation here, Herbo. We're going to get to this NFL draft recap here. Bama had some players over the weekend get drafted. Now, Herb, fun fact, fun question of the day, and I want the fans to chime in too, Herb, along with you. Do you count these as Nick Saban players because they were recruited by Nick Saban? Or are these DeBoer's players because he coached them last year and he's the coach that put them in the draft? Or do both of these two share these players? Like, how does this draft work here?
I'm going to tell you the same answer I told everybody last night. If the players do well, they're going to say they were Saban's players. If the players end up not doing well, they're going to say it was because DeBoer coached them that last year. And everybody knows that's the fact. It's unfortunate but true.
I'm just saying, like, they pop off, Saban did it. And it don't pop out. What did the bear, the boom, the bum, what did he do?
He ruined them.
I'm just saying. But all jokes aside, we want all of these young men to succeed here in the NFL draft. And Bama had 7 players get drafted. 7 players got drafted. 10 players ultimately found an NFL home. As 3 went to teams as undrafted free agents, and looking forward to seeing what they do in rookie minicamp. But we all saw the line of what happened over the weekend. The biggest question becomes, Jalen Milroe, how successful will he be with the Seattle Seahawks? I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be great in Seattle. You got Clint Kubiak there, son of an NFL coach, Gary Kubiak, who is going to be the OC for the Seahawks there, working with Milroe. We know what Milroe is, the athlete. We know what Milroe is as a deep ball passer. We're just going to have to watch the development of him, that 10 to 15-yard intermediate route there, intermediate throw, looking off DBs, polishing himself there as a passer. Seattle does have receivers. They've got Cooper Kupp. They got Valtez Scantling. They have Jackson Smith and Jigba. So they got different guys. The one thing that Seattle can't afford to do, you can't afford to just throw Jalen Milroe out there too early. You can't do that. That's why you have a Sam Darnold. That's why you have a Drew Lock to help him learn. And now, do you have packages for Milroe? Oh, absolutely. And I feel like that's part of the reason why Seattle also drafted Robbie Oots, because they know, hey, we get Robbie Oots in here as a fullback. Now we can create some packages here for Jalen Milroe. So I think Milroe's going to have success. I think Milroe's going to be fine in the NFL with Seattle. My main thing is don't throw him out there too quickly. Don't throw him out there too early. Tyler Booker, to me, so excited that he's a Dallas Cowboy. Oh, I am sorry. For the first time, see now, Jerry, you didn't mess it up. Because I was waiting on see now, Jerry, to draft the receiver, or draft the quarterback, or trade back and get Shedeur Sanders. Didn't do it. Picked Tyler Booker. You got an offensive lineman, one of the best in this draft, one of the most physical, tough, instinctive guys in this draft that's going to have your offensive line back to where it needs to be at, to be able to protect Dak Prescott, open up your run game. Excited about Tyler Booker going with Dallas. It's going to be awesome. And my man Raj is saying, I'll be excited to see Booker in person. Absolutely, Raj, and living in Texas. So I'm excited to see what Tyler Booker does in Dallas. That's number one. Now, the one that I'm just like, really? Did this really have to happen? Howie Roseman and Jeff Lurie were smoking cigars and drinking cognac, and they're just thinking, what can we do to add another gorilla to the field of gorillas we already have? Like, what can we do to add another banana clip to the chamber revolver of bullets we already have? Like, what can we do to make our already Super Bowl team even more bound to repeat? Let's just go get Jahad Campbell. let's just jump one spot in front of the Kansas City Chiefs and get Jahad Campbell. Let's just get the most versatile linebacker in this draft at pick 31. That's what they did. And they go out there and they get Campbell, who, I mean, my goodness, can play Mike, can call the signals, can line everybody up, can play weak side, wheel, off-ball linebacker, see ball, get ball, shoot gaps, lateral quickness, and then you can move him down to the buck position and have him knock a quarterback's dome off his body. I mean, that's what Jahad Campbell does. Had the smoothest combine, smoothest pro day. I mean, way to go, Philly. Way to go, Philly. You just sat there and picked 31 and did this to me. Philadelphia got Jahad Campbell there. Then you look at so happy for this pick, Q Robinson going to the Denver Broncos. That was a value pick for me. Happy for big Q Rob, and would have had more sacks, more tackles for loss last year, if not for an injury. But I'm very happy for Q Rob. This is a value pick, strong value pick. The Broncos got something special. I'm excited to see what he does here at the next level. And then you look at Malachi Moore. Malachi going to the New York Jets. His mom, Miss Penny, so excited for this brother right here. Bama down and through from start to finish. Malachi teaming up with Sauce Gardner in New York. I think that's going to be fun. I think that's going to be highly entertaining there with Aaron Glenn as the coach up there now. So Malachi with the Jets, that's really cool, but that's awesome. I mentioned Robbie Oots already with Seattle as a fullback, a guy that's hard hat, tough as nails, a kid that's going to block his tail off. He can also play in that H-back position, get out there in the flat, catch a pass, worked on that athleticism in terms of a receiver. Happy for Robbie Oots in Seattle. And then you look at T.M. Smith being drafted there by the Colts. He goes to a culture where he can be a solid plug and play piece there on the defensive line. So I'm happy for those 7 guys that got drafted. In terms of the undrafted free agents that signed, C.J. Dupree with New England, with the Patriots, got a chance to be there with Drake May. So excited to see how C.J. goes about rookie minicamp and what he'll be able to do there. Neil and Hibbett going to the Miami Dolphins as a long snapper. I know Raj liked that pick, along with having Quinn Ewers there to back up Tua Tagovailoa. You also got Neil and Hibbett there. That's the long snapper in Miami. Happy there for Neil. And then James Bunnip, he goes from Australia to eating etouffee and gumbo, being picked up there by the New Orleans Saints as an undrafted free agent. So, Herb, you get 7 guys for Bama drafted. You get 10 guys overall to find an NFL home. As 3 guys are in free as NFL free agents. I'm happy for these guys, Herb.
Very, very happy, man. First off, you just like to see any of these guys succeed, whether you subscribe to whichever camp the players come from. Very, very excited for them. I think several of them found really good homes and really good opportunities, particularly Booker, who is going to get right in there right away. Jahad Campbell going to the champs, who also have shown like, hey, we're willing to throw in young guys early, and even all the way down to Milroe, who you don't think is going to start next year, but has a great opportunity to learn. And then even Robbie Oots, man, who Seattle's offensive line was terrible. They needed some blocker where they put him at fullback or tight, whatever they do. And I think, I think is a perfect point that those two will work well together if they do make some packages from there. So, man, it's just happy for those guys. And not to I know this might be a future top, but next year is going to be even better. I feel like next year you're going to equal this in the first couple rounds. So,
especially if you're already looking at a lot of these way too early mock drafts from these NFL pundits, they've got about 4 to 5 Alabama players mocked there in the first round of the 2026 draft. But it all comes down to how do they fare this season, right? We're going to see a whole bunch of NFL scouts inside Bryant Denny this season, watching these games, scouting out these young men, documenting their performances and seeing, they show up when it matters. They show up on the field in these matchups when it matters. So kudos to those guys that got they got drafted, and kudos to those guys that found NFL homes as, undrafted free agents with rookie minicamp getting ready to start here pretty soon. But that moves us into our Q&A with the fans, our Q&A time with the Alabama faithful. You guys, appreciate all of your questions here. Time to get those in. Pull them up. Let's pull them up here, Herb. Let's get these questions in here from these fans. So here we go. Jay Walker writes in, next year's draft, Bama's going to have 8 to 10 guys in the first 3 rounds. Yeah, Bama's like to have some guys go, Jay, within those first 3 rounds, especially if you look at these mock drafts and these different NFL media personalities. So keep your eyes on that. Appreciate Jay getting his thought in. Let's see here. Who is next up? Latoya writes in, what are your bold predictions for this season? Mine is our defense will be a top 5 defense this season. Okay. My bold prediction this season, I got 2. Bama will have a top 5 defense this season. My second bold prediction, Bama will pop 2,000-yard receivers. Bama will pop 2 1,000-yard receivers. They'll pop 2 of them. They will have a top 5 defense. They'll pop out 2 1,000-yard receivers. Who will the 2 guys be? That'll be the question. But they'll pop 2 out. Appreciate Latoya there for that thought there. Let's see. My man Raj, any names on defense that we should pay more attention to? Anyone flying under the radar? Let's see. I think more attention needs to be paid to Edric Hill on that defensive line. He had a very good spring. Worked on hand technique, being violent there with his hands there, with his pass rush ability, also stopping the run there. I think more attention needs to be paid to him. And a guy fly under the radar. I would say a guy like Red Morgan. I think Red is going to have a big season here in the coming fall. Red needed to put on some weight last year. He came in a bit small as a freshman. I think he's added some very valuable muscle there to his frame as a defensive back. So Red Morgan kind of flying under the radar, but a name to pay more attention to on that defensive line. Keep your eyes on Edric Hill more. I think that kid's going to have a lot to say here in the upcoming season. Appreciate Raj there for his question right there. Don Parker writes in, my question, DeBoer finally wake up and now understands that this Bama and not mamby-pamby land, just because players stayed doesn't mean that things have improved. We will not know until game day. Now, of course, DeBoer took last year, Don Parker, knowing that, hey, you're in grown man league now. You're not out there on the West Coast. You're not in the Pac-2 or what is no longer a conference. You got to be able to get the best out of these players. He gets that. He understands that. But I think the players know even more. We got to get the best out of ourselves. And we got to demand the best out of ourselves. We can't sit here and just get on these national media platforms and just talk a good game. We got to be about playing to that standard of a big-time game. So that's what the players are focused on, and that's what DeBoer is focused on, showing out there on the field. But appreciate Don getting his thought in here. Continuing with the questions, the thoughts. My man, Tino Tao, Whitwell Sports in here. Let's get the ball to the playmakers this season. Amen there, Whitwell Sports. I hope Simpson gets some advice from McCarron on running a team with so many weapons. My man, Tino Tao, I hope that Ty gets advice from A.J. McCarron. I hope Ty gets advice from Jake Coker. I hope Ty gets advice from Mac Jones. I hope Ty gets advice from Blake Sims. I hope Ty gets advice from every Bama quarterback that had success with big-time weapons around him, because Ty's got weapons around him. Once again, you got about 10 receivers on this roster. You got dudes that can make plays. I hope Ty is getting advice from everybody that's got that's had big-time weapons around them in Alabama. We got the long run with Piano Man at the Bama Standard. How are the injured players coming along? Coming along smooth, Piano Man. Justin Jefferson was banged up, from last season. He did some things in the spring that a whole lot, but he did do some things. Danny Lewis Jr. is fine. I think Deontay Austin will be good to go by fall camp. He'll be good to go. Damani Jackson will be good to go fall camp. So I think our guys will be good to go fall camp to get out there and get things set to go here for the upcoming season. But nobody sustained anything new injury-wise throughout the spring. So the guys that were, nicked up, banged up, coming into the spring because of what happened the previous season, I think they'll be good to go once fall camp, rolls in here. But appreciate Piano Man for the start there. Let's see, Latoya Billingsley. How do you think Red Morgan does this year? Do you think he plays more or less? Speaking of Red, we just talked about Red. Red's going to get work. He's added weight. He's added muscle. Red's going to get work. He had a good spring, breaking up passes, getting his hand in there, holding out better in coverage. I think Red plays more. Now, I know he's in a position at that Husky spot where you got Day Jones who can play Husky, where you got Xavier Brown who can play Husky. You have Drake Kirkpatrick Jr. who can play it as well. So, Red's in a spot where there's a lot of bodies in that secondary, but Red can hold his own. So I think he'll do well this year. I think he actually may get a bit more reps than he got this past season. So very excited for what Morgan's going to be able to put out there in the field. Appreciate Latoya there. American Indian writes in, I just hope our best players don't get underutilized like Justice Haynes. I think Ryan Williams and Natsir Brooks will be those guys, and Rico Scott will advance quite nicely. Okay, so American Indian, do you think Ryan Williams and Natsir Brooks both pop out 1,000-yard seasons? Do you think it's those two that'll pop out 1,000-yard seasons? American Indian, I want that thought from you. And then Rico Scott, y'all know how I feel about Rico. Rico's gonna have something to say. Rico gonna have a nice year. Larry Large in here. How good will the run game be this season? I think, Larry, with Ryan Grubb wanting to have balance, throughout the spring, we saw some things where the quarterbacks were taking the ball from under center and handing the ball off to the running backs throughout spring practice. I think the run game will have much of a say in the upcoming fall. Appreciate you, Larry, for being a part here of the show. As always, people, you can check me out here at Coaching M. Smith on Twitter X at Coaching M. Smith. I'm right there. You can always check me out here every Monday morning, 9 a.m. on Bama Vision with my man Herb at Ragsdale. You can check me out Tuesday, Bama Standard Network, the Bama Standard flagship show with Justin Riley, Steve Brown, Marvin Constant, Gerald Smoke Dixon, myself here, and that's on Tuesday. And on Sunday, you can check me out Talking Bama with JT, JB, Herb again, and myself just floating around there. But Herb, where can people find you at?
So you can find Raj and I both. Well, first off, like you said, Sunday nights we're talking Bama with a good group of guys every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central. Then producing here Monday mornings, and then the Herb and Raj podcast. Man, go check us out there. Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Central, and you won't have to look very, very far soon because we will be streaming on the Bama Standard Network as well, so you can easily just stay here for all your good Bama news. And then check us out on Twitter at Raj_Herb. Man, just give us a look, man. Appreciate it.
I was on mute there. I got myself off now. So also, Bama people, there's a different flavor on this network. There's different shows on this network that you can be a part of that's going to give you coverage. So Monday, I know in the mornings, it's Bama Vision. So American Indian does have Ryan Williams and not Sierra Brooks getting over 1,000 yards received. So that's awesome. American Indian, he has both of those. But on Monday mornings, you have Bama Vision. Monday evenings, you got the opening kick, 7 p.m. Central Time here on YouTube with Daniel Petty and Coach Gerald GB coming through the smoke. Dixon, 7 p.m. opening kick. Check them out right there. Tuesdays, along with the Bama Standard show. After that, you got the Final Whistle that has their own YouTube channel. Follow them at the Final Whistle. They come on, 8 p.m. Central. Final Whistle with Matt Cadell, with Ty Hayes, with Chris James, Dan James, Lucian, the Avenger crew. Check them out right there on the Final Whistle. Then on Wednesdays, you got Crimson Dynasty with C.She, Hot Atlanta Payne, JB, and Dan the Man James on Wednesdays. At 6:30 p.m., you got Crimson Dynasty. You also got the Nightcap at 8:15 Central Time. Teague's Take with the illustrious George Teague, the Hot Take Man, JT Teague, in there as well. So we got something for you every single day. On Friday, you got College Football Chatter, 7:30 p.m. Central Time with my guy, Jonathan, and his crew with Brensky Sharp and the guys right there. So College Football Chatter on Fridays. Sunday night talking Bama with JB, JT, Herb, and myself there. Fans, don't forget, tomorrow on the Bama Standard Show, Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Well, 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Get my times mixed up here, but 6 o'clock Central Time. We got the illustrious George Teague coming on tomorrow. One of the baddest men, not the baddest man to ever play that safety position for your Crimson Tide. So we got the network here for you. Bama Standard Network. You don't want to go anywhere else but this spot for all of your Bama football content. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button right here. Keep it locked right here. Appreciate all of you guys for your time rocking with us today. As always, be good people. Be blessed people. And roll tide people.